Hi, I'm Queena. I am a personal growth and productivity coach. You know, we've all heard about the basics: Pomodoro timers, breaking tasks into smaller pieces, and eliminating distractions. But today, I'm going to share with you some lesser known hacks that have worked wonders for me and for many others with ADHD, hacks that you won't normally find or commonly find in your usual productivity guides. All right, so let's get into it. If you see me looking down, that's because I am using my notes so that I can stay on topic and that I do not digress from the topic at hand. All right, so let's get right into it. The first one is time blocking with a flex window. People recommend setting rigid times blocks to focus on specific tasks. But let's be real. Those of us with ADHD often find rigid schedules frustrating and hard to follow. Instead of blocking off precise times for each task, create flex windows. Let's say you have 2 hours for deep work on a project. Instead of scheduling from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., give yourself a flex window of, let's say, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. This way you have room to account for how your brain actually works that day. So if you feel super focused at 9, go for it. If you're not feeling it until 10:30, that's okay too. It gives you the freedom to lean into when your brain naturally feels on. It's structure, but on your own terms, so to speak. The next hack is something that I would like to call the audio reboot technique. And what that is you know how sometimes your brain just feels like it's overloaded. No matter what you do, you can't focus, right? This technique works especially well for those moments. Find a specific sound or audio clip that's calming, but also somewhat stimulating. Think a rainstorm with distant thunder. When you hear your brain, when you feel your brain starting to get overwhelmed, stop what you're doing and listen to this for 5 minutes while closing your eyes. It's like giving your brain a power nap without actually taking one. It works because our brains respond to sound patterns in interesting ways, helping us recalibrate and snap back into focus. It's a great reset tool, especially when you hit that mid-morning or afternoon slump. Okay, so the next one is something that I would like to call the anti-deadline technique. Deadlines can be motivating, but if you have ADHD, they can also be super anxiety-inducing, causing you to procrastinate even more. This is where the anti-deadline technique comes in. Instead of focusing on when something has to be done, focus on when it could be done. Let's say you have a task due by Friday. Instead of saying, I must finish by Friday, ask yourself, could I finish by Tuesday? It shifts your mindset from dread to possibility, and you're more likely to take action earlier. By framing the deadline in a more open-ended way, you remove the pressure and tap into the ADHD brain's love for creative problem solving under low pressure. The next one is sensory anchoring. A lot of ADHD tips focus on removing distractions, but not all distractions are bad. In fact, some sensory input can be an anchor that keeps us grounded in focus. Here's how it works. So, find a specific sensory stimulus, like a particular scent, texture, or sound that you only associate with productivity. For me, it's the scent of eucalyptus oil. Whenever I need to concentrate, I put a dab of eucalyptus oil on my wrist. Over time, my brain has linked that smell with productivity. And now when I smell it, my mind just naturally gets into work mode. It's kind of like how some people like to put on a focus playlist. Your brain loves patterns and associations. So if you train it to link a specific sensory input with focus, it'll start doing the work for you. Okay, so the next hack that I would like to talk about is the 3-mind trick for rapid transitions. Okay, so here's how it works. When you need to switch from one task to another, but can't seem to mentally shift, acknowledge the 3 minds that you have. The mind that you were just using, the mind that's resisting the change, and the mind that you need to activate for the next task. By giving each of these minds their own identity, you make the transition process feel more intentional. You can say, okay, I'm wrapping up the task focused mind, and now I need to give the resisting mind a few seconds before shifting into the new task mind. That little mental acknowledgement can actually trick your brain into embracing the shift or the switch, especially when you're feeling the classic ADHD resistance to change. Okay, the next hack that I would like to talk about is decision fatigue reduction with micro choices. So let's talk about something that plagues many of us with ADHD, and that is decision fatigue. You know how exhausting it is, or how exhausting it can be to make decisions all day, right? Okay, well, here's a hack that I discovered, and it's called micro choices. Instead of trying to decide on big actions, like what should I work on today, break those decisions down into tiny, almost insignificant tasks. So for example, instead of deciding what project should I start, narrow it down to micro decisions or micro choices. Like, should I open my email first or my project file? Once you make that tiny choice, move to the next one. Should I focus on the introduction or the outline of my project? This removes the pressure from each decision so you don't get stuck. Micro choices essentially let you sneak up on productivity without overwhelming yourself. Okay, so the last hack that I'm going to talk about is task doubling for momentum. This hack is for those times when you feel like you just can't start anything no matter what you do. The idea is to pick 2 tasks. One that's extremely simple, like putting away laundry, and one that's more complex, like writing a report. You do both tasks simultaneously or back to back. So while you're folding laundry, you could also brainstorm ideas for your report. Why does this work? Because by pairing an easy task with a harder one, you trick your brain into getting the momentum going. The ADHD brain craves novelty and stimulation. So jumping in between tasks keeps you engaged and makes the harder tasks feel less intimidating. All right, so that's it for this ADHD hack video. The key is finding what works for your brain. ADHD brains do not play fair, and that is okay. The secret is to experiment with techniques that feel natural for you and give you the flexibility to thrive. Until the next video, take care.